In this video, I am going to discuss chapter 13, that is organisms and population. Organism is also considered an individual, and how will you define population? It is the group of individuals of same species. For example, if in an area you can count the number of human population, means all the individuals of human being present in that area. Now, there are various factors that affect the life of individual. These factors are divided into two categories. One is abiotic factor and second is biotic factor. Abiotic factor means A means absence, means these will be the non-living factors. Biotic means living. So there are many abiotic factors that of the environment that affect the individuals. These are, for example, you can say temperature, water, light and soil are the important factors of the environment. Biotic factors are the pathogens, parasites, predators, competitors, etc. Now, how can the temperature affect the individual? As everyone know that the functions, whether these are physiological or physical functions, as well as the geographical distribution of organisms is governed by the temperature. Now, why this temperature is so important? Because the temperature that is affecting the activity of the enzyme as well as the BMR, that is basic metabolic rate. Everyone knows that enzymes, they act at an optimum temperature. For example, the salivary amylase that is working at the 6.8 pH. So it is the optimum pH for the salivary amylase. So depending on the ability of the organisms to tolerate the temperature, these are being classified into two types. One is eurythermal, which can tolerate wide range of the temperature. That's why these will be having more geographical distribution, as they can tolerate wide range of the temperature. Second one is the stenothermal. These are the organisms which tolerate narrow range of temperature. Now, second factor is the water. The productivity and distribution of organism depends on the water. For aquatic organism, there are various factors like chemical composition, pH, salinity, and temperature of water are very important. The organisms are being classified into two types. One is euryhaline and second is stenohaline. Euryhaline, which can tolerate wide range of salinity. Stenohaline, which can tolerate narrow range of salinity. Moving further, the next factor is the light. It is also an abiotic factor because the autotrophs prepare its food by the photosynthesis. So you can say the productivity of an ecosystem depends on the light. Animals are also using the variations in the light intensity and photoperiod for the timing of forage, reproduction and migration. So different kind of, you can say that the red, green and brown algae, these are also present at the different depth of the water. Moving further, the next abiotic factor is the soil. The nature and properties of the soil depends on climate as well as the weathering process. Now, what is this weathering? This is the process of soil formation. The physical and chemical properties of the soil define that what can be the type of plant in that habitat. And you know that the flora of an area that affect the fauna of an area. So you can say that whatever the type of plants in an area, that will affect the type of animal in that area. Now there is the question that in what way the organisms they are responding to the environment. Actually, there are four ways by which organism responds to their environment. First is the regulation, second is conformation, third is the migration, and fourth is the suspension. Now, first one is the regulation. The organisms which can maintain homeostasis, means which can maintain a constant body temperature as well as osmotic concentration, are come under the regulation. These are also known as regulators. Next one is the conformation. Majority of the animals and plants, they cannot maintain a constant internal environment. So you can say 99% of animals and plants are the conformers. Their body temperature varies according to the environmental temperature. Similarly, the osmotic concentration of the body also vary according to the outer environment. Now, what are the examples of the regulators? Human beings, they are the good examples of the regulators. As you can see that our body temperature that is constant up to 37 degree. So how can you maintain this constant body temperature? Everyone knows that during the summer, when the outside temperature rises, our body temperature also start rising. But we have a property of thermoregulation. In our body, the sweating will start. That will again make the temperature normal to the 37. Similarly, during the winter, outer temperature start falling down. Similarly, our body temperature also decreases. But again, due to thermoregulation property, our body that starts shivering. And the shivering is a kind of exercise that generates heat. And again, our body temperature rises. But this thermoregulation, this is a very energy expensive process. So this is not found in all the animals. That's why majority of the organisms, these are conformers. Heat loss or gain, that is the function of the surface area. Therefore, small animals are not found in the polar regions. Third response is the migration. Everyone knows that what is migration. When you are moving from one point or one area to the another, it is known as migration. But this is a kind of temporary movement. For example, during summer, the human being, they tend to move toward a cooler region. For example, during in Shimla, in Mussoorie, these are the hill stations. So simply you can say when organism is moving temporarily from a unfavorable environmental condition to favorable environmental condition for some time, then it is called migration. Next one is the suspension. Suspension means when there are unfavorable condition, you can say stressful period. So organisms do not migrate, they will suspend their activities. For example, hibernation, it is known as winter sleep. Estivation, this is known as summer sleep. So hibernation is the process in which animals, they lower down their metabolic activity, or you can say they become inactive during winter. For example, polar bears, frogs and lizards. Estivation, it is the same process as hibernation, but it is being practiced by the organism during the summer period. So this is also known as summer sleep. For example, the snails and fishes. Third one is the diapause. It is a state development, suspended development, and it is being done usually by the many zooplanktons to avoid unfavorable conditions. The next topic is adaptation. Adaptations are the changes in organism, and these changes can be morphological, physiological and behavioral. And the overall advantage of the adaptation, that it enables the organism to survive and reproduce in their habitat. These adaptations are shown by most of the organisms in different way. For example, the first one is the desert plant. So what can be the type of desert adaptations in the desert plant? The most common example of the desert plant is the cactus, which is also known as Apansia. There are various adaptations in these cactus. First one is they have very thick cuticle on their leaf surface, and it will prevent the transpiration. Second one is the sunken stomata, means stomata will be present in the deep cavities. Third one, the leaves are modified into spines to reduce the rate of transpiration, and the function of the photosynthesis will be carried out by their green stem. And these have a very specified pathway in them, that is the CAM pathway, crassulacean acid metabolism pathway. And what happens during this pathway is that the stomata remain closed during the day. And what will be the advantage of this process? That the loss of water by the process of transpiration will get reduced during the daytime. Now the aquatic plant, these are also having various adaptations. These have Erenchyma. Erenchyma is a kind of parenchyma with air cavities. And due to this, the aquatic plant, they are capable of floating on the water surface, and their leaves have waxy covering, means so that the leaves may not be damaged due to the continuous contact with water. So moving further, next one is the desert animal. The common example is the kangaroo rat, which is living in the desert of North America, that never drink water. Now from where it will get the water? Actually, it is also having adaptations. First one is it is having the internal fat oxidation, in which water will be released as the byproduct. Second is it is also able to concentrate its urine, so that the loss of water during the excretion is minimized. Population attributes. Now what I have already told you that what is the meaning of population. Population is a group of individuals living in a particular geographical area. But there are certain attributes. For example, the attributes of the population are: first one is birth rate, second is death rate, third one is sex ratio, fourth one is population density. A population at any time is having the individuals of different age group, and these age group are classified as pre-reproductive, in which you can say the young one will be considered, reproductive adult one will be considered, and post-reproductive old aged people. So every population that is having three kind of age group: pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. If you are plotting this age group for a population, then you will get a structure which is known as age pyramid. Age pyramid represent the very individuals of various age group like pre-reproductive, reproductive, and post-reproductive. By observing an age pyramid, you can easily find out that what are the individuals in a population, that whether it is being increasing, whether it is decreasing, or whether the population is stable. So depending on the distribution of the various age group in a age pyramid, you can say the population is being stable, it is increasing, or it is decreasing. There are various factors that may lead to increase in the size of the population or decrease in the size of population. There are four main factors: B, that is birth rate; I, immigration; D, death rate; E, emigration. Birth rate, obviously it will add the new individual, so it is going to increase the size of population. Death rate, it is decreasing the individuals from a population, so obviously it will decrease the size of the population. I, immigration, means some people, these are being added to an area. For example, there are 10 students in the class and one is coming to your class, then it will become 11. So immigration is going to increase the size of population. E, emigration, means 10 students in the class, one is going out from there, so you will be only the 9. It means it will decrease the size of population. So out of these four factors, B and I, that is birth rate and immigration, they are increasing the size of population. D and E, they are decreasing the size of population. So there is a formula by which you can calculate the population growth at any time. That is NT, population density at a time. Means if you want to count the population now. N0, it is the population in the beginning. For example, NT will represent the population in 2000, this is 20, and N0, for example, in 2019. So how will you find out that whether the population is increasing or decreasing? So what will be the formula? NT is equal to N0 or N0 plus B plus I minus D plus E. B plus I because these are increasing the size of population, D plus E because these are decreasing the size of population. If B plus I is more than D plus E, size of the population will increase. If B plus I is less than D plus E, size of the population will decrease. And if B plus I and D plus E are equal, then population will remain stable. There are various growth models regarding the population. Mainly these are two. First one is exponential growth model. According to this growth model, it says that the resources in the environment are unlimited, and if the resources are unlimited, it means the population will grow in an endless manner. It means it will continue to increase. Now the equation regarding this growth model is dn by dt is equal to Rn. Now this R is representing B minus D, means birth minus death. So when a population shows exponential growth, you will get a curve of J shape. Second one is the logistic growth model. According to this model, resources are not unlimited in the nature. They are going to become limiting at a point. That's why no population is capable of growing in an exponential manner. The equation for this logistic growth model is dn by dt is equal to Rn k minus n by k. N is the population density at time, R is the intrinsic rate of natural decrease, and K is the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity means a particular area of the ecosystem that can provide the resources up to a maximum number of individuals. So after carrying capacity means if the ecosystem is full, then no more individuals are going to be added to that. Population interactions. Now what is the need of these population interaction? Living organisms, they cannot survive in isolation. They interact with one another in various ways to form biological communities. All the interactions are divided into two types. One is interspecific interaction and second is intraspecific interaction. Interspecific means when the interaction is between the population of two different species. But if interaction is between the individuals of same species, then it will be intraspecific. Now all the interactions are classified into following type. First one is the predation. It is referred as positive minus. Plus symbol indicate the benefit, minus symbol indicate the loss. It means that in predation one species will be benefited and one will be in loss. Second one is competition. Both species will be getting negative impact over here. In parasitism, one species will get benefit and other one will be harmed. In commensalism, plus and zero means plus the species will be benefited, zero means no effect. The next one is the amensalism. One species is showing minus and second one is the zero. Minus means the species will be harmed and zero means no effect. In mutualism, it is also known as symbiosis. Both the species are positive represented. It means both the species will be benefited. Now in predation, as I have told you that it is a kind of relationship in which one individual will be benefited and second will be in harm. So in predation there are two species. One is called predator and second is the prey. Predator is considered to be strong animal and prey is considered to be weak animal. Obviously the stronger one will be benefited and the weak one will be harmed. Predation is actually the way to transfer the energy from lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. That's why predation is also represented for the transfer of energy in a food chain. What is the advantage of predation? Predators keeps the population of prey under control. Otherwise what will happen? The population of the prey that will become very high and it will cause imbalances in the ecosystem. One of the interesting example of the predator is the monarch butterfly. This monarch butterfly is very distasteful to its prey bird. So what is the reason behind this? Actually, the monarch butterfly, this is having a special kind of chemical in their body, and this is the chemical which is being obtained by them during the caterpillar stage when they feed on the poisonous beads. So this is a kind of protective mechanism which is being developed by the prey. The monarch butterfly keep itself free from its predator due to the poisonous chemical which is present in its body. Next type of interaction is the competition. The competition is an interaction that may be among the individuals of same species, then you will say it is intraspecific. It may be between the individuals of different species, then you will say it is interspecific. If the competition is taking place between a strong and weak individual, then obviously the strong one will be the winner and the weak one will be eliminated from that area. In some cases, the resources need not to be limiting for the competition to occur. Feeding efficiency of one species might be reduced due to the interference of the other species. For example, Abingdon tortoise in the Galapagos Island became extinct within a decade after the goats were introduced into that area. There were many scientists who worked on this process of the competition. There was a scientist who said, the scientist was MacArthur. He showed that the 5 closely related species of the warbles, they can live on the same trees and they were capable of coexisting by changing their hunting activities. This is known as resource partitioning. Before that, there was a scientist, Gauss, who said that the species which are having the common resources, they cannot coexist together. But later on, by the discovery of the MacArthur, it was possible that the species can coexist even if they are having the common resources. Next type of interaction is the parasitism, in which one species, that is parasite, depend on the other species host for food and shelter. In this kind of interaction, host will get harmed and parasite gets benefited. Parasites are specific for their host, and parasite and its host tend to co-evolve. Co-evolve means if there is a change in the body of the host to reject or resist the parasite, then parasite will also evolve the mechanism to neutralize them. In order to be a parasite on a host, there are certain adaptations in a parasite. For example, parasite tends to co-evolve. Second, it may lose sense organs. Third, there must be the presence of suckers or hooks in the parasites. There should be no digestive system, and these have high reproductive capacity. Parasites are of two types, ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ectoparasites, they will reside on the surface of the host. Endoparasite, they will be within the body of the host. Next type of interaction is the commensalism. In case of commensalism, one species will get benefit and other is neither harmed or benefited. First example is the epiphytes. For example, orchids growing on the tree branch. Barnacles, they are also growing on the back of the beels. Third example is the association between egret and grazing cattle. These egret, usually follow the grazing cattle, because when the cattle graze, the insect get flown away from the grasses and they become easily available to the grazing cattle. The clownfish living along with the sea anemone. In this case, the clownfish is getting the protections among the tentacles, but sea anemone is having no effect. Last example is the suckerfish on the back of the shark. So all these are the examples in which one species is being benefited and the second is neither harmed nor benefited. Next type of interaction is the mutualism, in which both the species will be benefited. You have already studied about these interaction in your earlier classes. For example, the lichens. These are relationship between fungus and algae. Fungus will provide the shelter as well as minerals to the algae, and in turn algae will prepare the food. Second type of mutualism is the mycorrhiza, association of fungus with the roots of higher plants. Similarly, the fungus will help in absorbing the nutrient from the rocks and plant will provide food to the fungi. Plant depends on the insect for the pollination. In turn, the insects are getting nectar or pollens to eat. Similarly, animals and plants are also in mutual beneficial relationship. Animal helps the plant in seed dispersal, and in return, the plant are giving fruit to the animal as the food. Next interaction is the amensalism. In this interaction, one organism is harmed and the second one is neither harmed nor benefited. For example, penicillium that secretes the chemical penicillin, and this penicillin kills the bacteria.